Look, after the Antichrist has signed that treaty, he builds the temple where that mosque used to be. Definitely, that's going to be trouble.
Hello my family, welcome again to Direct TV, bringing to you the truth. Welcome guys to this special and wonderful episode of my video today. Right in today's video guys, I'm here with the man of God by person of Reverend Dr. Chris Oyakhilome. And just like I said in my previous video, which if you have not watched, please go ahead and watch. Alright, I did say I'm going to be bringing a lot of rapture teaching, this particular period. So I'd like you to, stay tuned in my channel so that you can, get yourself, acquainted and ready for the rapture of the church, guys. So before we dive into the video guys, because the man of God Pastor Chris in today's video is going to be addressing the issue of Israel relating to the rapture of the church. So before the rapture, I did mention in my previous video about the fact that the man of sin, which is the Antichrist, is going to sign that peace treaty, and then he's going to build a temple where we have mosques today in Israel. So that's going to be trouble, just like what Pastor Chris is saying. So I'd love you to listen to today's video guys. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. I'll be right back. Watch this.
Look, after the Antichrist has signed that treaty, a lot in the world would love him because he seemed to have solved the problem that everybody else tried: peace in the Middle East. So he's said to have finally brought peace to the Middle East. So he's loved by a lot of people. And then he helps them in the building of the temple. He solved the problem. He builds the temple where that mosque used to be. Definitely, that's going to be trouble. Why? Because the Muslims, they were, according to Ezekiel chapter 38, read chapter 38 and 39. They come into a league with Russia and they spring a surprise attack. Russia and allies invade Israel when Israel is at rest. Now this is very important. This helps you to understand when that invasion is likely to take place, because the Bible says that they would come when Israel is at rest, when Israel is at peace. And the only time they're going to be at peace is after the signing of the treaty with the Antichrist. He will not be called the Antichrist at that time. Everybody thinks he's a wonderful leader. Say, but we know from the Bible that he will be the Antichrist. So he signs that peace treaty and everybody loves him. Israel loves him. He's the man of peace. But the Bible says, when they shall see peace, go to 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 3. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. You see, so Israel is attacked by Russia and the allies. You say, how do you know it's Russia? When you study in Ezekiel 38, you would know. So, and the other nations, okay, Iran will be part of that. All right, there's several countries mentioned that will be part of that attack. So, but the Bible says they will be defeated by Israel. This is an interesting thing. They will be defeated because they will not be helped, but God will help them. Other nations will not come to their aid, and Israel will defeat that massive group. Now here's the interesting thing, why this is very important, is that the Antichrist at this time is not controlling the world, but the European nations will accept him. He's a nice, wonderful political leader. He's solving the Middle East problem. He's solving other problems, so everybody likes him. But Russia resists him, and some other countries. And that's why, even though he signed this treaty, Russia blindsides them and attacks Israel. Now this is all prophetic. And now that Russia and the allies are defeated by Israel according to the Bible, what's left? The Antichrist and his European allies see that the only obstacle to their world domination has been removed. So right away they become the sole world power. So the Antichrist now takes over everything, because the only power to withstand them at that time, in fact, you may say, what about the United States? What happens with them? Interesting, the only places in the Bible that refer to what we might term the United States and some allies, according to the Bible, stand back, and all they say to Russia is, are you going to take a spoil? They stand back. They don't stop Russia. They let them go. It tells us something. So at that time, they get defeated by Israel, God helping them, and the Antichrist, being still known as a man of peace and a friend, even though he guaranteed their security and failed to deliver, there will be trouble. He gets angry because Israel is unhappy. Because of that, something happens. This is now the middle of the 7-year treaty that he signed with Israel. We are now 3.5 years into the 7 years. So he's angry, he's unhappy with Israel, he breaks the treaty here. He breaks it. Let's read Daniel chapter 9 verse 27. And he shall confirm the covenant, that's the treaty, with many for 1 week. So several nations together with him signing that treaty with Israel. And in the midst of the week I told you is the 7 years. In the middle of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease. He's angry, and he does something terrible. Now, when he tells us he shall cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease, he's telling us something. As at this time, the temple has already been built, and Israel is back to worshiping God, and that's why God helped them against their adversaries. You see, that's why God helped them against their adversaries. So what happens is, the Antichrist now breaks the treaty and moves his headquarters to Jerusalem. He had been operating from Europe, having 2 offices, one in Europe, one in Jerusalem. Let's look at it. Go to Daniel chapter 11 verse 45. And he shall plant the tabernacles of his palace between the seas in the glorious holy mountain. Yet he shall come to his end, and none shall help him. Did you see that? Okay. So here's what happens. He moves to Jerusalem and forcibly enters the temple. After all, he helped with the building. Not that he necessarily put the money inside, but he set the circumstances that helped them to build. So now he's angry. He breaks the treaty and he moves to Jerusalem and goes into the temple. And this is the terrible time. The Bible calls it the time of Jacob's trouble. The time of Jacob's trouble. Terrible what happens from here. Terrible what happens from here. Jesus talked about it. Let's go to Daniel chapter 9 again, verse 27, and observe something. Observe something. It says here, and he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, and in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease, and for the overspreading of abominations he shall make it desolate. Do you understand that term? The abomination that makes desolate, even until the consummation, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. Remember that term. Jesus comes in to tell us something about that. This is terrible. It's in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 24. From verse 15. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place. What is Jesus telling you? That he's going to come into the temple. He's going to come into the holy place. Whoso readeth, let him understand. I told you there are types, years before, 150 years before, they thought it was Antiochus for Epiphanes. They thought he was the one because he did exactly like this. He moved into the temple and offered sacrifices of pigs on God's altar. And many thought that was the Antichrist. But no, that was before Jesus. Now Jesus tells us this is it.
Alright, my family, there you have it with the man of God by person of the highest esteem, Reverend Dr. Chris Oyakhilome, DSCDD. This is not a video, it's actually an audio, and I'm sure that you took your time to listen to it. Alright. But the message I'm actually passing is towards the rapture of the church, you see, and the Antichrist will be revealed before the rapture happens, you see. And in my previous video, if you have not yet watched my previous video, please do well to go to the video before this one and then check out, alright, because Pastor Chris did explain something about the man of sin which will be revealed before the rapture of the church, and the latest person was Barack Obama, alright, and that's why you got to listen to that video. And in this particular one, Pastor Chris also spent time to talk about the Antichrist, alright, you see. So you got to be ready for the rapture. So if you are not living your life and preparing for the rapture, something is definitely wrong. Something is definitely wrong. So as a Christian, you got to be ready. If you are not born again, you got to get born again. See, that's the first start. That's the first part. You got to be born again. Anyways, I trust you are blessed with today's video. And for those of you coming very new to my channel, kindly do subscribe button to subscribe and like today's video, guys. See you in my next video. Bye.